You are listening to the USDN on the DSPN.
It's a trap!
Hello there. It's the chairman of the United States Department of Nerds, where we are for the people, by the people, and of the people. Today, we are sitting down with a creator who understands that storytelling doesn't stop at the script. It lives in the composition, the pacing, and the emotion of every panel. Artist, writer, art director, husband, a father of five, and the creative force behind the Diary of Sweet Pea. The council is now in session. Alim, welcome to the Council of Nerds, my friend. Oh, and Mike is here with us too. My bad, dude.
It's all right. I got my fabulous intro last time.
You did. You got a good one last time. It was Alim's turn this time, so he got the good one.
I feel good. That was a great intro.
It's like remember when Big Daddy, when Adam Sandler came into the party at the very end, he's like, "Oh, did y'all waste another good happy birthday surprise on me?" But Alim, we'll dive right into it. So for those meeting you for the very first time, who is Alim and how did comics become your creative home?
All right. Well, Alim is a man that wears many hats. You know, as you said in the intro, I'm a father, along with all the accolades of art director and all those other things. But if you're asking who I am, I'm a guy like everybody else out here with bills to pay and responsibilities to keep up. Comic books has been my thing since childhood. You know, it got me through. It was a constant in my life as a kid, right? You know, through a lot of ups and downs and things like that. So kind of fell out in my later years, but found my way back home during the pandemic, really. So I mean that time as hard as it was on a lot of people, it was really eye-opening for me because it gave me a chance to get away from the grind of taking care of a family as large as mine and just slow down a little bit and get back into art and being creative. And you know, my first comic book, I started during the whole furlough thing in the pandemic, the Diary of Sweet Pea issue 1, and getting to see behind the curtain of how these things are made, I fell in love. You know, I got into the indie community, and you know, it's such a unique community because you got people that's on like in the range that I'm at, we're at these beginning steps, and you have people like Mark McKenna, who's been doing Marvel since 1985. So we're able to interact and work with each other. That doesn't happen everywhere. You know,
it's wild. It is. This is one of those communities that allows that. Like, you don't have a whole lot of gatekeepers going, you ain't done your time yet.
Right. Yeah, for sure, man. I love it. I love it here. I love making comic books. I love being able to take myself seriously in a creative way and make dope stuff.
So let me ask you, how did you become evolved with that guy sitting below us?
Oh man, me and Mike met I was flopping around in my first Kickstarter campaign, right? Because making the book is one thing, selling it is another.
Oh yeah.
So I was flopping around, and Ink Studios was one of the guys that contacted me. If anybody's done a Kickstarter before, you get a lot of spam, robots
A lot.
that can help you and this, that, and the third. So it just so happened that, me being new to the game, I took a chance with, well, not even a chance, because I didn't understand what it was, at first. But anyway, I recontacted Ink Studios, who hit me up, in the mix of all of that. And God blessed me. I was lucky enough to actually have picked some real ones out of all of that nonsense that's in there. And
there's a lot of it.
Way, but I was lucky enough to meet Kevin and the guys at Ink, and Mike was working there at the time, and and come to find out, lo and behold, this guy is a master of literature. In writing.
I just had that conversation with some people, and I told them straight up, I'm like, if you want to see a master class in just how the behind the scenes works, to go back and watch my interview with Mike. It is no kidding a master class from Kickstarters to the business side of things. And like, it's literally one of those where you can go sit and watch it and take notes, because he gives so many good nuggets in that interview. And that's going to be one of those where I continue to push. I'm like, hey, go watch this interview if you want to learn stuff. Yeah,
and willing to share. Goes back to that community. You don't see that all the time. You don't see that in a lot of people. There's probably not everybody. I still got the rose-colored glasses on. I've just been lucky to meet some really dope people, and Mike is one of them. He's a solid guy, and he just he knows how to elevate work. There's some translations that needs to happen, because I don't have a literary background. I'm just spewing out these ideas and trying to form it as best I can. And it's great to have somebody with the skills as an editor, to be able to come in and really help hammer some things out and smooth, some stuff out. So, man, Mike is great. And I'm happy I'm blessed to have him around.
Thank you. All kind words. Thank you.
His head just grew like 10 times.
I hope you can't see it, but that's why I put this hat on.
You'll see him adjusting his hat here in a minute. It's like, God, it's tight. But my dude, you wear a lot of hats: the artist, the writer, the art director, production manager. How did that multidiscipline mindset develop? And how does that shape how you approach the way you do comic books?
Well, back in the pandemic, where I got reintroduced to this world, started with just art, creating, painting, doing digital art, things like that. Drawing is something that I've also done for a very long time and stepped away from. So, I got some, there's all kinds of resources out there now. I got some of those classes that you can get in the, like you can go on YouTube and get it, or you can get it from one of those apps that just have all the videos in a structured class from top to bottom with homework, and I took it serious. That got me back into art a little bit. And on a whim, I searched on Facebook groups for comic books and indie comic books. And, I found the community there. There was a guy by the name of Stephen Duffy from Apex Comics UK that introduced me to the game, got me in with like how you can connect with people and take your ideas and form them into, artwork, because comic books, because, like there's people out there looking for work, and, so yeah, I went on a tangent. I forgot.
No, you're good, dude. That's what we're here for. We're telling your story and getting Sweet Pea out to the people, man.
Yeah. So, I mean, like that's really how I got into the comic book world, and like it evolved as time went on from doing the artwork and painting. There we go. So we was doing art and painting, then we get into comic books around late 2000s, and Steve helped me with taking these ideas that I had from like Dungeons and Dragons games, campaigns, and characters like that. And we used to have the chat room. There was some chat room websites where everybody contributed to a story with their own character.
Yeah.
I used to be in those a lot when I was younger. So, like I have all these ideas from characters made up, drawn, and imagined. And I kind of crammed it all into the Diary of Sweet Pea in issue 1, right? So we got like this mess of characters, but I want to tell a story that's only centered on this one character, right?
Yeah.
And everything else is happening how it would happen to you, right? And so like there's stuff going on over here, there, or whatever, but only the things that enter your field are what you become truly aware of or become a part of your story, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that didn't really work out. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. Issue 1 of the Diary of Sweet Pea and issue 2 I think they're great. And
yeah,
I play with the idea of editing them and going back now that I've learned more, but I also am fond of the idea of leaving them as is so that you can see the steps up in the evolution of the writing, right?
Yeah.
The story.
You can always go back later and do a rewrite on the first 2 if you want to, and then sell it as a trade paperback or something later as a rework paperback.
Yeah,
but I get what you're saying about keeping them as they are now, so you can see your growth yourself.
Mm-hmm. And so other people can see it too, because I think that we've made something really special, right? I think this is like
cannot argue that.
And I can confidently put in anybody, any room in any arena, and it's going to perform well, I think, right?
Oh, 100%.
That doesn't make me necessarily more special or unique than anyone else. So I think leaving those first 2 issues as is, so you can see like the growth and development, might help to inspire somebody else. Because like once you just made your mind up to do these things, they become like they're way more possible than I thought they were for the first 38 some odd years of my life. Right?
I mean, it's just like the first volume of Invincible. He had to put this out so fast, and then he lost his artist like halfway through that first volume, and so he found someone was really great. And if you read it and then you watch the adaptation of the show on Amazon, they added so much more depth in the show because there was that space in the original where they just went from scene and focused on plot points. So I concur with leaving it the way it is. So many options to go back on. Like what if Imani's power is an energy that's linked to, multiple linear timelines, and maybe she wants to go back and save her friends and her family. Maybe we explore those spaces in issue 1 and 2 later on. There's that opportunity, and there's multiple other opportunities. Leaving necessarily things you think that aren't perfect doesn't make it not perfect, because you are the only person as a creator, and I know we talked about this before, Lynn. You're the only one that'll see those imperfections. Everybody else gets to experience the story. So what you're seeing is from the artist's perspective. What you can't unsee is the artist's perspective. So you can't really enjoy it as a fan. So we need to leave those spaces and imperfections there, because some of them won't know that they're imperfect, which is never the goal, by the way.
Oh, nobody will unless you say it.
Yeah,
well, they're going to know now if they watch this.
They're going to know
now. Well, I mean, this is just one episode in a huge universe of content when Sweet Pea gets as big as I hope and think it will be one day.
I was just telling him that before you joined us is like, dude, I can see this being so much bigger than what it is. But you've said that making sure a book looks as good as it reads is core to your philosophy. What does every panel counts really mean to you in practice?
No fillers, man. We're not wasting, we're not taking the cheap route on anything if we can. I actually learned this working on somebody else's project as an art director, right? Because it's like a no nonsense thing when it's my project, you know, like it's all we friends, and you know, we're friends first and work colleagues second. I don't think of myself as your boss, and even though, you know, you're being paid for work, I still feel like you doing me a favor more than anything, because you helping me to get these dreams accomplished. So, but when I'm working on somebody else's project, now I'm locked in because it's my reputation, and I want to make sure that that person's book is done in the way that it should be. You know, it should be done. And trusting me to do that, right? So it's not to say that it's not always there and I get lazy about my work. It's just that when I was working on somebody else's project, I really honed in and focused super hard. And, you know, now we're carrying that and continuing that tradition on with the Diary of Sweet Pea. So when I say that every panel counts, I mean, everything has to be with a purpose. I want to really imagine things in motion and capture the perfect screenshot of that moment that we're trying to convey in the script. And that includes, you know, if we have to change the color of the sky for this one panel because it makes more sense and you know, it becomes vibrant, then that's just something that we have to do. And I believe that art tells a story as well, right? So I mean, looking at paintings or just you know, a pinup that somebody made that catches your eye at a comic book convention, these things like they tell stories. So I think that in every single panel that we write, it deserves a story to be told in and of itself. It's just the artist brain thing. I'm sorry.
No, I like hearing it. I mean, I know when I'm on my road trips, I listen to my podcast back to myself, and I will listen to the shows, and what you just said will probably make an impact on me on a road trip in the future, because it makes 100% sense, right?
Right.
You're staking your reputation, but at the same time, if you're working on somebody else's work, not only is it your reputation, it's their reputation as a writer who's now employed you as their artist.
Exactly.
So it's win-win in making sure you're just putting 100% into everything you're doing. So for me, it makes plenty of sense, and I'm sure for the listeners out there later, it will make plenty of sense as well. Because what I love about doing this is we get to share insights into behind the curtains of the art and the story of the comic book with the persons involved in making that comic book. So but let's dive in really into Sweet Pea and what Sweet Pea is all about. So it has a powerful premise: a young girl unconsciously creating constructs of deceased loved ones in a world warped by reality altering energy. And we got into it a little bit beforehand, but I held off. But where did that idea come from? Because I love this idea. It is an amazing original concept.
So, you know, like I said, I've been D&D, video game characters that don't have enough backstory. I used to create more for them. You know what I mean? I was a kid that would say, I'm that character. I pick Rock Lee out of the Naruto lineup. That's me from now on. You know, this is my guy. And we rocking out. So, you know, like I've been really attached to pop culture as a medium, right? Comic books, cartoons, video games, and things like that. I really was always into them. And I've also always, you know, created my own stories and ideas. So some of these characters and concepts, like the Bane, for example, have existed in multiple iterations, whether it's, you know, like a monk from D&D or, you know, a creative character on a game or whatever for years, right? So now I get to finally take all of those ideas and stories of those characters and put them inside of this little sandbox playpen with Imani and see what comes out. Now, for her specifically, Imani probably represents my children and, you know, like my fears for them and the world that they have to grow up in and face and be prepared for on their own without me one day. You know, thank God it's not the life that they live in, because it is, you know, like there's some crazy stuff going inside of the book, but, you know, metaphorically speaking, it's what's waiting for them out there. And you know, so gotta be prepared.
So Imani in the comic book is only 14 years old. Yet she's carrying grief, power, and responsibility way beyond her years. Why was it important for you to tell this kind of story through such a young protagonist?
Okay, so
I mean, you kind of hinted at it just then, but if
yeah,
you wanted to
a little bit, but I mean, like, just beyond my own kids, right? We got a lot going on in the city that I come from, especially with young kids. There's a lot of violence. There's a lot of foolishness. It's a lot. And they had, you know, like, we have a lot of issues that these kids are facing and dealing with, right?
Oh, yeah.
So the concept is really like kind of like a nature versus nurture thing. Because Imani has this, you know, she has to face this dangerous world, hostile world, but she also had a loving father that instilled certain morals inside of her and the things of that nature. And now we get to see these extreme situations clash with each other and see what comes out of it. I'm still not sure which way I want to take Imani. If I want her to end up, how I want to let all those moments affect her. I have a pretty good idea, but I'm not gonna. I want to surprise myself as well and be open to the possibility that, you know, she might not be a hero by the end of this. She might be the threat that the world has to deal with. You know, stay tuned.
No, I like that. I like leaving that open-ended, you know, story like that, especially when it's very easily could be one way or the other. And it's really on you on how you want the character to go and where you see her being in the future. And I'm excited for it, to be fair. Like, I'm down either way.
It's
like,
really
just want to let it burn.
It's really dope, man. Cause like Imani, she has the whole world watching her, right? You have the Bane that initiated this event, exposed this energy to our planet in order to harvest it. And Imani is, well, no, we ain't gonna tell that yet.
We don't want to give too many spoilers away. We do want people to still go out and support the book.
Let's put a pin on that. I want to make sure I get my words right before I let it all out.
But so let's talk about a little bit about the grief and the memory of everything happening in this story. So Imani's companions are born from loss, not choice. How did you approach portraying grief in a way that's honest, but still accessible to readers? Like it can resonate, because we all have dealt with loss in our own way. I know Mike, same as me, we've lost grandparents and stuff with, you know. So how did you approach that?
So this is something that me and Mike went back and forth and kind of hammered out a little bit together. You know, I wrote it, and, you know, then when Mike got a hold of it and read it, I didn't really know what I had written and how powerful it really was and how much, you know, we should focus on it. So there was some I wasn't gonna say major edits there, but it was some refocusing on dealing with grief, because like you said, man, it's something that we all go through, young and old. I think for me, it was just the natural progression of the story so far of Imani, with how much she's been through in the first two issues. You know, this is a 14-year-old kid. She's seen a lot and been through a lot. You know, her powers I'll tell you this much. Her powers are subconscious in nature, right? And they're actually a little bit sinister towards her in a way, because it makes it hard to tell reality from, what's real from what's not
Yeah.
real, right? So now in this issue, she's facing some hard truths and making some real and coming to some realizations of things that happened earlier in the story, that now she has to confront all of this at the same time with a mind that's full of all of this energy and outcome. It's a recipe for disaster. So it's where the story took me.
It's a beautiful contrast, really.
And it also makes it really easy for when you decide later on which way you want to go with her.
Yeah.
The backstory is there for her to be the ultimate villain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is.
It has a lot to say about what's coming next, because the world around her is moving and she's progressing, but at a very slow emotional rate. That is the pace that we're moving Imani through the story. Because one of the cool things that people are going to discover about Sweet Pea is that it just isn't about a little girl who gets superpowers from a weird energy that engulfs the planet. There's a huge world behind all that includes, the fighting force and aliens beyond the bane with weird crystals and mystical healing powders and stuff like that. It goes beyond that, but the progression, the emotional focus, and how it contrasts to the world around her, gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous.
So I got to ask, was there a particular emotional moment or scene in this book that hit you harder than expected while you were writing it?
Oh man, every moment. I mean, so it's hard for me because I'm thinking about my kids when I'm writing this, but I'm putting them in this, like they're going in the meat grinder inside of this story. So
these kids are in the upside down and they don't know it.
Yeah. So I mean, like it's like every page is hard for me, and I have to make some serious decisions about like keeping the integrity of the book. I can't take it easy on them. I just really have to like channel these innate, often unfounded, but dads prepare, fears that I have for my my kids, man, and I'm letting it out inside of the page.
So one of the most haunted aspects of this story is that Imani doesn't even realize the scale of what she's involved in. What drew you to the narrative tension of that?
Yeah, so like I said, originally my plan was to make the Diary of Sweet Pea strictly from the perspective of Imani, right? Like we're just looking in her diary. So the only things that we can really know is what she knows and what she sees. But we found that the book is so expansive because there's a lot of history, between all of these different factions and everything. And there's a lot going on with a lot of, like a lot of different people all at the same time. And it's of no value to me to not let the reader, like I know all this in my head, but the reader doesn't get to know all this until finally gets to see it. So, we decided to change our focus a little more and try to encompass those, other elements. And did I answer your question? I feel like I did.
No, you did. How does this lack of awareness from Imani heighten the danger both for herself and also the world around her? Because she doesn't really realize what she's capable of, it seems.
Yeah, so it just makes it more interesting to me to have this journey of discovery. I think it pays more into Imani's story and the overall story that I'm trying to tell. Because even though it's superpowers in it, I don't think anybody could really say that this is like a superhero or a supervillain book. Not really. It doesn't really fit that format. So her lack of awareness just allows for her to continue developing as a 14-year-old would inside of this world that she's in. You know, it's an extreme situation, but making her a part of, you know, the galactic defense, you know, the Fighters in Defense of Humanity, the FIDO or something like that, would just give her too much structure to get the story out. Though she needs to be on her own and finding herself and figuring out you know, what these powers are, what's real to her, what's not. If I have her around too many people all the time, then you kind of start to lose all of that.
Simply put, a cold sword was never a sword until we put it in the fire.
I like it. Dude, yeah. No, so I've only gotten to see like the basically the press pass that he sent over to me. And the moment I opened it and started reading it, I was like, all right, I gotta have this whole thing. Like, like it is that good in my eyes. And so you're the art director on Sweet Pea as well. How did you develop this visual language of the constructs versus the real world for her?
So we took some locations from Philly and the surrounding areas because that's where the story takes place at. So Philly and Delco. And you know, as far as the style, I wanted to confuse the reader's mind a little bit because it's ultimately a story about a 14-year-old girl. So we have this kind of very approachable, soft, round art style, contrasting with, you know, like dark themes and violence and stuff like that. So I just thought that would be dope to because I like dark fantasy whimsical stuff, but like seeing like it could have been like it's kind of like childish in this animation, but the story is heavy and rich. You know, so that's what I had in mind for when I was creating coming up with the art style.
Are there any visual cues or design rules readers should subconsciously pick up on as this story unfolds? Like are you evolving the art in this story with visual cues for people to pick up on, if that makes sense?
Yep.
Like there's stuff there's stuff there that help tell the story that aren't necessarily you have to be looking for.
Yeah, keep an eye, watch Imani's eyes. Anytime you're dealing with her, keep an eye on her eyes. I'll say that much. That's a big giveaway.
I think we talked about this last time, Mike, how it takes us like 45 minutes to an hour to read a comic book because we're not just reading the comic book, we're actually studying the page as well. Because I'm looking for visual cues, I'm looking for Easter eggs. I'm doing all these things while I'm reading a comic book. Yes, yeah, I read the page, yep. But then I go like this right here through the page, and I'm just looking for things that draw me to something or something where I see it here, but when I'm going to get 5 pages over here, I'm going to see it again. And it's just those little visual cues that cue me into things, and I like that because the eyes are always so telling. But it's something that you don't see a lot of in comic books. People using the eyes to help tell stories. So I really like the fact that you're using the eyes of characters to tell stories in that kind of way as well. So,
yep, everything counts. We gotta take it all into consideration. And it's nice to have something in there that like you find some detail that the artist didn't put an arrow on pointing to. Make sure look.
That's why it takes me like 10 to 15 minutes to read a page of a comic book because that's what I'm doing.
Yeah. And even like if you get a chance to check out issue 1, there's some things in there too where like the size of characters and things like that change, and it's for you know, like it's for a reason. You know, it was deliberate. We put it there on
Mhm.
purpose, but want to kind of let you have some fun with why did this change so much from one panel to the next kind of.
No, I like that kind of stuff, and it's one of those where I think that's an underutilized aspect that you can do in comic books. More people take advantage of that. But so you've worked across multiple projects, Deathblade, the 5/3 crew, and now Sweet Pea as a creator. How have those other experiences sharpened your leadership as a storyteller?
So Deathblade was dope because I got to work with another writer for the first time, which was something I was trying to get my hands on some scripts to just check out and see how other people do it. So getting to work on another person's script and read it, create these panel ideas and layouts inside of my head and everything really opened up my eyes to how much more seriously I could take it, because I did a damn good job with Deathblade, you know what I mean? And and I think, you know, like that just showed me that I can take this to another level. You know, I can take my own work to another level. And then with the 5/3 crew that came after, you know, and this is the guy this is his first book, second issue. First one wasn't really exactly a comic book, but it's such an exciting idea that I told him, you got to make this a comic. So that one is actually it's like a math workbook, but also a comic book. And
that's dope.
You know, it's really, really good. It's a great idea. It has, you know, like it's fully characters. It's not like the things that you get inside the dentist office, you know, toothbrush man or something like that. You know, this is it's a full comic book, and it has, you know, like these moments where they come up and have to solve a math problem. So you know, there's space for you on the page to write in the book and solve the math problems. And he had a script.
Were those given to schools?
I hope so, man. I think it should.
Such a cool concept, especially for like once they get to the second, third, fourth grade. You know, that would just be like a fun way to do math.
Me, I think he's got the golden goose. And you get that.
No kidding.
That might be it. But yeah. So I mean, he had like a word spreadsheet thing for his script. So I took that, remade it into an actionable script that we can actually get panels ideas from, sent that back over to him, and you know, we went from there. So I mean, it just showed me more of what I'm able to offer, because for me this is fun more than work.
Yeah.
I'm passionate about it, and I get to be like good at something, and it's still catching up to me. I'm not trying to pat myself on the, like, I don't want to seem like I got a big ego.
No, dude. You reach around.
Yeah.
It's one of these, man, because honestly, it's for me. I know exactly where you're coming from, because that's how I feel about what I do here. Yeah, I mean, there's times where I'm just like, but there's days like today where I actually get to sit down and do the show, talk to you, talk to Mike again, and it makes it all the stress and stuff leading up to these moments well worth it. So.
For sure, man. And it feels good to be good at something. Like this is my thing, right?
Dude, exactly. That's exactly how I feel, man. This right here is like where I found a niche, and I was like, why aren't there other people bigger than me exploring this niche? Yeah, I would love to talk to some of the bigger creators out there, but at the same time, if I could talk to guys like you and Mike and other indie creators out there who I see as the future of comic book storytelling to begin with, that to me has more depth to it, because tomorrow you could be working for Marvel or DC. I don't know. And I can look back and go, I knew him before he was over there, and I have this proof right here in the pudding that I got
if
to
I'm
talk to
over
him
there,
before he got over there. You know what I'm saying? So
he's definitely got chops.
if I'm there,
So-
we ain't gonna be like I knew him. We're gonna be like I know that guy. We going
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that because, like I said, to me, this is where it's at. This is where the future is. The future starts with the indie comics. I don't know a single big name out there making, comics right now that didn't get their start in some kind of way at this level. So that's why I do what I do, to keep bringing it to, you guys to the forefront of people. So I love it, and I'll do it until I can't.
I appreciate it. We need that. We definitely need it. Like I said before, making the book, I found it to be surprisingly easy. I ain't going to say it's an easy thing to do, but it's extremely possible to do. Selling that book and getting eyes on it, is really freaking hard.
And that's what's great about this right here is at the end of the day, I'm going to chop this up for you. I'm going to send you over clips to help you, with that part of the selling. So it's pretty crazy how something as simple as a clip from a podcast interview that you did can help kind of push that along to another level. So hopefully this will do that for you. You can get us up to that 50, pre-game backers over on the Kickstarter, and everybody can get that cool ass mobile phone screensaver.
Yeah.
Now feel free to cut me out. You can cut me out. You don't have to leave me in. You just edit it, stack y'all's cameras together so it fits. I don't have to be a part of it. I already got my clips. Give him his clips.
Dude, I honestly I didn't know if you were going to show up or not, and I literally, when I was putting everything together,
oh good,
I was like, I don't know if Mike's going to show up, and I'm like, but if he shows up, I'm prepared for that. He can jump in where he wants to jump in. Yeah. But I had a feeling that you wanted me to put more focus on Alim. That's why I've been
absolutely
doing that. So I don't want you to think that I'm ignoring you, Mike.
Oh no, you're good. Absolutely not.
But so you're just not building worlds. You're raising 5 kids as well. How has being a father influenced the stories you tell? I can kind of see that from what I've gotten to see of Sweet Pea so far. But how has that been like a big factor into this? And you've hinted on it, but
yeah. Well, first of all, just full disclaimer: I don't want anybody reading this book and thinking that my kids are doing very well. Okay, I got college students.
Before we went live, he was messaging his kids. I swear to you.
Yeah, so the kids are doing great. But like I said, before, and fathers prepare, fathers worry, fathers consider, just something that men do. We go into a room and analyze threats. It's just what we do. So
That's
as a father, even from a young age, not me at a young age. When I'm looking at my kids at a young age, looking at their cute little faces with all of this knowledge of the world, and I understand where they're at. You know what I mean? Everything's all fun and sunshine for them as much as we can keep it that way. We do.
Oh, yeah. You want to protect that innocence for as long as you can,
as long as possible, man, and make sure that they get the best shot possible. But it's a nasty world, man. It's a nasty world, and at the end of the day, we gotta prepare these children to be a part of it one day, and out on their own. They got to leave the nest. So, and that for me, I ain't gonna say it's always been scary. I'm not like a helicopter parent or anything like that. I trust that I've given the kids what they need to go out to the world, and I'm still there for them whenever they need me or whatever. So it's not like I'm a nihilist or something like that, if I'm using that word right. But I know what it is out there. So that's what I'm putting out inside of this book. That fear, that worry, just following that string of imagination and turning it into something that's interesting as a comic book, you know, for the reader.
How have you managed to balance all that between your family life and what you do for comic books? I don't know if you have a regular job as well, but how do you find balance in all that?
It's, well, first of all, I do a very poor job, but
I can say I can do that because mine's 20 and in college, so I can. It allows me to have more time to do this kind of stuff, which I am thankful for at this point because I've done the hard part already.
Yeah, I got a freshman, college freshman, and a kindergartner. And
she's a sophomore, so in college. So I'm kind of like I can hands off and just be there when I need to be there. So
yeah, that's nice. So I mean, we make do. It's easier. It's not easy, but it's easier because it's something that I'm passionate about doing. This ain't the same as me going in for overtime to get, try to get a couple of extra bills, catch up on some credit cards. This is me, betting on myself. This is me following my dreams. This is me pursuing my passions. And, when I can get my mental state together to lock in, I can do some amazing things. And once this Kickstarter goes live and you see the care that I put into that presentation and people start seeing these, this book and these books that we've made, I think you're going to see all of that come through there.
No, I like it. And dude, I'm in the same boat, man. I got a 9-to-5, and the only reason I still keep the 9-to-5 is because I got bills to pay, man. Otherwise, I'd be doing this full time, whether I was getting paid or not.
Yeah.
But it'd be nice to, if people just watch the videos and let me get paid to do this, and I wouldn't need the 9-to-5, because if I was getting paid to do this, I do it all the time. I wouldn't be worried about closing my schedule and be like, hey, yeah, I can fit you in at 2 p.m. on Thursday. Let's do it.
I know it's the same for Mike too. Yeah. I know you're dealing with the same things, man. We all are.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, me and Mike talked about that when he was on last time too. I mean, if we didn't have to do it, this would be it. I'd be a full-time creator in a heartbeat.
Happily. I
mean, I'm working to that point. I want to be there, and that is kind of my goal. Is hopefully end of the year I will be, that next step closer to being able to do that. So we'll see. It's all about the grind, and I showed y'all my schedule for the month of February. We grinded this month. Being
consistent, man. It pays off.
But
I wish everybody knew that, man. I wish I knew this when I was, kid watching Batman the animated series and Superman and all Freakazoid and all that stuff. That
Freakazoid.
Regular people.
Oh, yeah, dude.
So all those great people. I've never read the credits. Like I never stayed for the credits of the show. I just watched the shows, or I read the books, and then I went about my day. But those were always regular people, that pursued their dreams and followed it and landed where they are. So that's actually a part of my mission, and I'll say that on every show that I go on, that you can do it, man. If there's any kids watching and you have ideas, start taking them seriously, pursue them, and create something.
Even if you're just like hopping on YouTube and watching videos of what it is that you want to do or what you have a passion for, and just do it.
Yep.
Because I remember when I first started doing this, I was watching YouTube videos on how to do YouTube videos and how to podcast and ways to do it economically and get the most bang out of your money. So yeah, exactly. And I was in my late 30s when I started doing that. So
just imagine if we was 19, 20 years old getting it from there. We,
When I was 18 or 19 years old, I don't think podcasting was a thing. It was called radio then.
Yeah. Still waiting on it.
So the way I see it is, I do a live podcast for the people who like to watch. But I also know and understand that I got a face for radio. So it also goes to Spotify and Apple. So.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, man, it's just like, just the takeaway is more people should. If I could have built my life around comic books, I would be happy with wherever the chips are. Fortunately, like I thank God for my life and everything that I have. But I've got a lot built now that I got to maintain. So that 9 to 5 not stopping until this takes off, and then we can put our full attention over here.
Yep. True story right there. So without spoiling anything, man, where do you see the Diary of Sweet Pea heading thematically as this story continues? You've been kind of like dropping us little breadcrumbs along the way there, but without a spoiler, where are you headed? And Mike, you're giggling down there like a little schoolgirl.
I don't know, Mike. You think all right, hold on. You think I can do it without spoiling?
Some dark places.
Hey, this is one of those where you can go, hey, dude, I can't do this question without giving a spoiler away. And I'm going to understand it. The people who are going to be listening later on the podcast are going to completely understand as well. So if you can't do it without giving spoilers, then by all means, we can go to the next question.
I think you could explain it like this: the stages of grief, right? Right. She's accepted it. But there's one emotion that's pretty valid in the stages of grief that you got to get through. And you won't like her when she's angry. So
that's perfect way to put it right there, because especially if she is going through those stages of grief.
Mm-hmm.
That makes perfect sense. And if that's where it's going, then I know there's a step in there that's
what the talk is, but the boss said it's open. So we still talking about it. It's on a pendulum. That's on a pendulum.
But we can skip that one. Let me ask you this. Is Sweet Pea a contained story, or is a foundation there of something much bigger?
Oh, it's absolutely a foundation there for something much bigger. If this story takes off, now we got a lot of things coming down the pipe. Me and Mike have something that we working on together. I have some other ideas that I want to explore, but if this thing really takes off and the people are really interested in seeing where this story can go, there's so many factions inside of this. So you have the Bane, who are interdimensional creatures that go from dimension to dimension, creating catastrophic events and then harvesting the resources from them and moving on. You have the Rizoas, who are like ancient enemy of the Bane, also travel between dimensions and have been fighting them, in guerrilla warfare tactics for hundreds of years, thousands of years. You have the Fighters in Defense of Humanity, or FIDO, who is paramilitary global organization created to try to fight against the Bane using like this new experimental technology. Then you have the average everyday human who also like we could focus on people who are not powered and trying to survive this new hellscape that we all have to deal with in this story. And then you have the people who absorb the energy and become powered individuals. It's not just Imani. She's just we'll get into that issue 4, but it's you have other people too that have this power. So there's a lot of elements. There's some things in issue 2 that I could take and make like a graphic novel, 180 pages easily. Issue 2 could have easily been 5 or 6 issues alone. So we can go some places if you guys want to go some places, or we can explore some more.
I like that a lot, dude. But let's jump into the Kickstarter. It is launching in March. And what can you tell us about the upcoming Kickstarter and kind of like what this represents for the project? Because this is issue 3. It's pretty pivotal of a 4-issue series. So,
okay, yeah. So, issue 3, I'm giving it a lot of love and care and affection with this Kickstarter campaign. I'm building it myself from the ground up, coming up with some really fun stretch goals, one of which is live right now. So in our pre-launch, we have a stretch goal where if we can get our followers on the pre-launch page up to 50, then everybody's going to get that free digital screensaver for their phones that we talked about. And then, like we'll probably do something like if we can get up to 100, then a desktop wallpaper or something like that. But we also have an element where sharing is going to come into play. Now I'll have some stretch goals for that. For the number of backers, we'll have stretch goals, and then of course monetary stretch goals as well to increase. I'm only asking for $1,000, and if I only get enough to print, that's fine, because it's important. I bet on myself first with the Diary of Sweet Pea. I pay for this book out of my pocket, right? So the book is done, it's edited, it's worded, it's lettered, and everything like that. Now we just got to get the print. So if traction is still low and I haven't gotten it out to enough people, then we print with $1,000, and as high as we can take it, we make more. It's not, we definitely going to finish Diary of Sweet Pea issue 4, because that, is the promise that I made when I wrote issue 1 and put 1 of 4 in there, which by the way, don't do if you listening, just let it be issue 1 and leave it at that. Because, it creates a box that you don't necessarily want to have to deal with, kind of confine the story into 4 issues that could have easily been 12 or 13 or more. So, I'm confident that we're going to hit that goal, but, I think that we made something really special, and it deserves to be seen. You're going to want to take a chance. I know I'm not the best salesman in the world, but I'm a damn good comic book creator, and this is a damn good comic book. So, hey,
just think though, you get to come back the next time and go volume 2, issue 1, and just leave it alone.
Leave it alone. Yeah. So the Kickstarter, man, we got some great graphics for you guys. I have some really fun tiers. We have 3 different books covers. So 4 covers that include the sketch cover. Yusuf Shitu is the line artist. He's the standard cover. That's also going to be a holographic cover, that vibrant purple. Which one was on the cover that did it have a cover on there on the press release that I sent to you?
I had some of them that Mike had sent over. Yeah. If you want, I can pull it up real quick.
For sure, yeah.
All right. Because this is the one that's been like this has been like my favorite one, to be fair.
Had the skydive pose, the all purple. And there was a 1 on the 1.
Yeah, we got there we go. Yeah. So that's
dude,
this is the
so clean.
Yeah, it's powerful, right?
Dude, everything about this says I want to buy this book.
Yeah, so this represents like a really strong moment that you're going to find inside of the book, right? Well, not this exact picture, but this moment is contained out of the book. And like this is just an example of the kind of intention that we have when we create and the artwork to go along with it. The artist first. So that's our standard cover. Yusuf Shitu knocked that out of the park. We actually had a coloring contest with the line art from that. And me, the colorist, and the line artist Yusuf. And for the third book now, he's beat me on on the colors for his work. So
now, the moment Mike had sent that cover over, I was like, I'm going with this cover. I don't care what anybody else says. Like that, it just instantly became like the cover for me.
Well, we
So
got some
big ups to Yusuf, man, because he killed it on that cover.
Yeah, he knocked that out. We got some more great artists though for our variant covers. We have J. Travis Smith, who's worked with IDW and a whole slew of other people. Got an alternate cover from him, and then Mark McKenna, who I spoke about earlier, who's been with Marvel since I was a baby. Also did a cover for me, which is amazing, man. I hope you don't feel no type of way when I say that, but it's just like it blows my mind.
Yeah,
that me, and him got to work together. This guy has credits from Darth Vader books, Spider-Man, DC stuff, and all other kinds of stuff. And now he's a cover artist for Alter Ego Arts, the Diary of Sweet Pea as well. And that is just like mind blowing.
oh, dude, that's. I love that dude. I love to hear like I had another guy on the podcast not that long ago, and he had a guy that I personally like admire his work, Francovella, like did a cover for him, and like that dude's cover work and his art in general just blows me away every time I get to see it. So knowing that he got a cover from him, I was immediately envious of it because like it's dude, like he messaged Chris Ford to do a cover for him. Like he's like, hey, I want to do a cover for you, and then did a cover for him. I'm just like, dude, that's freaking amazing. So for me, it was just like when he told me that, I was blown away by it. But it's when it goes to show that doesn't matter where you're at, there's always somebody watching what you're doing and are willing to do something for you. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it's dope as hell, man. Like you got to get a cover by somebody that you've looked up to and admired.
Yeah,
And they say, don't meet your heroes, but sometimes meeting your heroes gets you a cover,
And then what, like I said before, I wasn't reading the credits to these things that I was picking up, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I had books, you know what I mean? Like I've carried books with his inks on there across states, moving around and stuff like that, and passed it down to other, like my little cousins and stuff like that. So like that.
It is wild too, because you don't think about the amount of people it goes to making a single issue of a comic book until you either start working with comic books or working on comic books yourself. So for me, when I started doing like the podcast and working with comic books more often and more frequently, that I started paying attention to the guy who does the pencils, the guy that does the inks, the guy that does the colors, the guys that do the stories, the guy that does the productions, the guys who do the printing. And you realize like the writer, the artist, and the cover artist are the three people who get all the freaking credit. You know what I'm saying? But there's a bigger team behind those three individuals.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like the editor. You know what I mean? It was just like...
Exactly. severely underlooked position to where if you didn't have a good editor, you could be walking around with a hot piece of ass for a comic book.
I'm honored to be a part of this project. This came shortly, I think not long after my mom had passed away, and one of the things that I'd taken away from what Alim had sent me was the grieving process. And so us just getting along really well over the Kickstarter that we were doing for him on issue 1 was just, it's kind of meant to be. So when I was asked, I couldn't say no. And we worked out a price, and I've held to that standard, and we worked together ever since. And we're working on some other stuff outside of Sweet Pea now. That's kind of exciting, and it's really, really slow because of all our schedules and all the things we're involved with. And of course, we're trying to put out Sweet Pea and get to that issue 4 as fast as we can. But it's been a true honor, to be honest. Comics has not only brought me closer to the industry that I wanted to when I finished my degree. But it's brought me friends. It's brought me people who are like-minded, that have allowed me to open up to other people who are like-minded, to talk about the things in the creative space that you don't really talk about, that readers don't see on the page as a product. There are some things that we don't talk about when we're creating process, that we just don't talk about it just because it's an insecurity, or we don't want to look dumb, or
Yeah.
we get to talk about those in safe spaces with those who are like-minded. So that in itself has been a blessing. So I'm just tickled to be a part of it, to be honest. Whatever value I've brought to it, I'll let Alim speak to it, but it's his baby. I'm just helping him polish it, and I'm just like, thank you, man. Thank you so much for letting me be here.
You sound like Marshawn Lynch at the that NFL press release. I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Mike here because Mike did his damn thing, man. Like that. Like I said, I don't want to I want to praise you so much, but I don't want to give the wrong idea that
by the end of this episode, he's going to look like Megamind.
But it's just like the value of an editor. First of all, like, to have an editor with a freaking master's degree in editing related matters is just like, wow. And like, to have somebody that can take your ideas and your script and structure it in a way that enhances it to the best of its ability is really invaluable. It's a really important step, like you said, that some people skip. Some people may feel like they don't need it, but everybody needs it. You can't do this in a bubble. It takes a team. Like you said, it takes a team of people that you need to trust. You need to, be able to vibe with. It helps to be able to, like, I consider Mike a friend, more than anything. We could talk, we could talk about stuff that ain't got nothing to do with comics, real life stuff that's going on and that we deal with. Or, we could just it's cool to have somebody to just geek out with these ideas with.
Yeah, dude, that's some of the funnest parts to me. And that's why I love having like indie creators here on the podcast. Is they're just as big as nerds as I am, who understand, the writing process, the art process, the editing process. And we already have a lot of stuff in common anyway with comic books. And it just like ups the nerd for me on that. You know what I'm saying? So it's always fun to me to have guys on, and not to just speak about their projects, but just to speak about comic books in general, because it's one of those niches. It doesn't get a lot of publicity.
Yeah.
Even though it's $1 billion industry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes me sick to my stomach. Like, there should be comic book creators on the stage of The View. Like, what you mean women don't?
I don't know about The View.
Come on, yeah,
I don't know about that one. I'll skip that one.
No. We can't skip that one. People talk so much garbage about that one. It's the best.
Give me Oprah. Oprah hit me up. I'm gonna go on Oprah. I want to go on Oprah and talk comic books with Oprah. Let's do it. Oprah, hit me up. But
Joe Rogan needs to have some podcast individuals on there from the comic industry. He's had movie
Joe
stars.
Rogan, yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
Hit me up,
like
Joe.
where are the comic book people?
Let's make
at?
it happen.
Not the
I don't
people
even
who
have to come
adapted
to
the
Texas.
film. Oh
You
yeah,
don't even have to fly to Texas. We'll do it. Yeah, we'll do it right here. We'll do it one-on-one through StreamYard. Let's do it. Let's do it, Joe. Hit me up. Now let's jump back into this Kickstarter. So for readers jumping in on this at the ground level, what makes this the right time to support Sweet Pea? And will they have a chance to catch up with the first 2 volumes?
Okay. So if you're jumping in now, you're jumping in at a great time, because I think we finally settled into like the perfect formula, right? Issue 1 and issue 2 are available. Issue 1 and issue 2 are great. But if all you got to read so far is issue 3, if you jump in, you only want to get a single issue, and it's issue 3, there's enough there for you to be interested enough, I think, to later come back for issue 1 and 2. And, you're going to get me at my best. You want to get us at our best with issue 3. It's a solid story. You know, we're maintaining that tradition of, if you pick up, no matter which issue you pick up, you should have a complete story, right? Even if there's some back, you know, whatever. I want to make sure that from start to finish, you get a completed tale that's also a part of a larger story. But this alone should satisfy, and I think that issue 3 is just the perfect place to jump in to the series.
I like
it.
it.
Yes, issue 1 and 2 are available.
That was going to be my next question: is will issue 1 and 2 be together? Because if I'm going to back it, I got to be able to get physical copies of 1 and 2, because I'm a physical issue guy.
Yep.
It's something about the fresh smell of a freshly printed comic that just very few things come close.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll make sure there's a continuity option where you get all 3 for an agreed upon price.
Yeah, definitely physical and digital.
Yeah,
both there.
Yeah. I know some people who have gone just straight digital. I myself cannot ever see myself doing that. I like getting the digital copies to read, you know, in advance, but it's just something about cutting that tape off that box, pulling out that physical copy. Plus, to be fair, it gives me more content.
You know, from the business perspective, if you plan to go all digital, don't expect to raise much money because there's no print involved. It's that particular type of pursuit is for those who want to run through a series or a story really quickly and only need to raise money to make the story. Because then you have you don't even have to go crowdfunding to like make money with the book. You can go straight to Global Comics or Amazon and Kindle and places like that to go digital. It's a business decision, but unless you're someone who's been in the industry that's coming back, or if you're like the creator of SWAT Cats who came in, knocked it out of the park, if they went all digital, they'd have made some money. They wouldn't have made near as much money as they did if they wouldn't have gone to print. And then
didn't they just make a close to $1 million off of Kickstarter?
It was almost close to a quarter, and they raised enough to make a motion comic out of the comic that they created as like their first endeavor for bringing SWAT Cats back, which I'm pretty sure they're in the process of pursuing another animated series. But I was a part of that one because I watched them back in the day, and I'm using it as an example to explain, like, if you don't have that name or that previous 90s nostalgia, you're not going to raise a whole lot of money going all digital. So, I mean, people want physical, tangible things to hold on to and go, wow, look at me. You know, look what I have. It's part of the process.
So let me ask this. What kind of reader do you think this story is going to resonate with the most once this campaign goes live?
Dads for sure. You know, definitely dads. I want to say that all readers, teenage and up, you know, could pick it up and get a lot of enjoyment out of it. There's a lot of fun there, but I think there's some elements in there that's really special and specific to fathers that I think is going to like grasp you no matter, you know, where you are, where you're from in the world. I think dads is really going to like it.
I like it, dude. So for readers who are just now discovering this book for the first time, what do you hope they feel when they close the book? So I know the question sounds the same, but this is, what do you hope they feel when they close the book? Once they've read cover to cover, what do you want them to feel? Oh, you know I go deep. Mike, more new?
All right. Mike, I'm gonna get you. Gonna have to follow up on this one, man.
I want them to be hungry. I want them to be just slobbering at the maw for more. I want them to be all over Alim's social medias, clambering and beating on the social media door, asking to be let in so we can see, you know, so they can see what's in the frying pan. I think you have to get issue 1 and 2. because the context that the emotional story bringing to issue 3 is lost without it. But at the same time, you're going to want to get issue 1 and 2, and then you're going to want to know what happens next, because issue 3 is a slammer, man. Like, after we got done with this, after seeing it all come together in the pre-posts for lettering, I was like, this is so, I can't even believe I'm a part of this. This is so great.
Dude, that's
The
how I
artwork
felt the
is
moment
great.
I finished reading that press release. I think it's 5 pages or something, but it's just like, it's like when they slide the steak in front of you, you know?
Yeah.
You're like,
Oh yeah. Yeah. No.
but then they don't give you no silverware.
And I know this is I know this episode and this conversation, you know, it's all about building up for the Kickstarter. And I know that I might be presumed biased, but typically and honestly, if I saw this on the shelf, I would pick it up. But until I read it, I don't think it's something I would innately just be like, yeah, put it in my cart.
This is
Other
one of those
people
where
might
if that
feel
purple cover
differently.
was on the shelf, I would immediately grab that purple cover and be like, hey, LCS, where do I get issue 1 and 2? Because if this cover is indicate any indication of what is on the inside, I'm going to need the other 2 to go with it.
Which is why the cover is so great. And that's what I look for in covers when it comes to comics. Does this cover have anything to do with the story I'm going to experience on the inside? Some of it's just flash, or they got like a guest artist to come in and do a little woo-ha and a little bit of glitz and glamour.
Put their name on it.
Yeah, but covers like the one that we all voted on to be the cover for issue 3, on top of it being the art was elevated. I'm not being biased here. Like, I'm really passionate about what we all just accomplished together inside this 3rd issue. It's a slammer. You got to have 1 through 3. So what I would like people to understand is how hungry you're going to feel when you get done with it, because issue 4 is really up to y'all. It's up to all the backers. It's up to everybody who tells someone to back it. It's up to how well this podcast does. It's up to y'all how fast we get to issue 4 for y'all to be, you know, satiated in the hunger that you're about to feel. So I am so happy for y'all, speaking to just those who are watching, reading, and want to back this. But at the same time, I'm so very sorry that issue 4 is not here. But we want it to be here. So please back. Tell someone to back it. Tell everybody. Tell your friends, your mom, your grandma, if they forgot a birthday present.
Oh, you know, once I press this live, once this goes live,
jangle.
It's going to have everything in there. And then I know, you know, Lim was talking before, and he's like, hey, I know we're just like kind of building up we're putting the steak on the grill, so to speak, right now. We're actually going live in March, right? Like mid-March is what I think it is.
Yep. Yeah.
We're going to bring it back sometime in March, and we're going to do this again properly.
Yep. For sure.
So,
and you absolutely right, man. My thinking was like, you know, if you get issue 3, right? So I'll just give you guys fair warning. I'm a busy guy. I want to get out to as many conventions as possible, but I'm not the easiest to find right now for sale. So this Kickstarter, you know, issue 1, 2, and 3 are going to be available, and probably the easiest way for right now for you to get your hands on all 3 copies of this book. You know, we'll look into getting inside of stores and getting out the conventions. I love doing conventions. I just got to have, you know, the time and money to get out to them. But I love going out and meeting people. So if I can, you know, I'll be there as many as possible. But this Kickstarter, if you walk away only with issue 3, you might be disappointed, because you're going to want issue 1 and 2 once you read issue 3, for sure.
All right, fellas, we're at that part of the show where I'm going to ask y'all to plug yourselves. Tell everybody where they can find y'all at. Liam, we'll start with you, man.
Yeah, so you can find me on Facebook and Instagram, Alter Ego Arts, or Sweet Pea Comic, on both of those.
MJF, it's your turn, buddy.
Like in the last episode, man, you can find me on Facebook. I'm on M Food for Thoughts on Instagram. I also have a few websites, and you can find me on the IMP Substack, Inevitable Media Press and also on Alignable. Alignable is a social media for B2Bs or businesses and people who have small businesses. Sole proprietors can go and connect with people who have services. That's not a paid marketing. I'm just explaining it because I didn't know what it was and how cool it was. I met a lot of comics people on Alignable. But that's where you can hit me up to find editing services and find out how I can help you turn your product into what I'm doing for Alim right here with Sweet Pea.
I like it. Even though you are like the hardest guy to get a hold of. Not even shitting anybody, y'all. Facebook, message his ass on Facebook. Because he's guaranteed to see it.
I did CC Alim and let him handle it because it's kind of his baby. So, but to bridge the gap, yeah, I do apologize for that. I'm actually really easy to talk to. Ask Alim.
Easy to talk to once you get it. It's the getting him part.
Yeah, I got a little bit of a white rabbit.
All jokes aside, man, hey, it was a pleasure to have both of you on tonight and to talk about Sweet Pea with y'all. For one, I'm going to shoot you over the schedule for March. I'm not kidding when I tell you February is full and March is looking like it's going to fill up just as fast. So if you want to come back in March, you're going to have to jump on the schedule now.
Will do.
Ladies and gentlemen, and that's the thing about indie comics. They're not just stories on paper. They're lived experiences. They're grief turned into strength. They're creators who understand that every panel counts. Alim isn't just telling a story with the Diary of Sweet Pea. He's building a world rooted in emotion, intention, and craft. So if you believe in creator-owned comics, if you believe in stories that look as good as they read, and if you believe in supporting the people bold enough to make them, you know where to look. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the chairman and the United States Department of Nerds, where indie comics come to life. Y'all be safe and stay warm.
It's a trap!
I love the outros.